Can you introduce yourself?
Of course, my name is Kendista. I'm Indonesian and I've been working in Singapore for almost 10 years.
What is your job title?
How in stories there's always someone who helps solve problems.
Yeah.
In real life, it's
Yeah.
called a lawyer. That's my title.
Okay.
Mm.
What kind of lawyer are you?
So you can imagine two friends who promise to build a tree house together. But then they start fighting about who should bring the wood and then who should bring the nails. I'm the person they call to help when they have that problem, especially when it's about big important promises between companies.
Okay.
So I solve problems.
Okay. What does that mean you do?
Basically, I help them solve their problems, especially when it involves money or promises that was made but not carried out or done.
Okay. What made you want to become a lawyer?
I actually didn't want to be a lawyer until I was in university. My
Okay.
father told me to study law, and I
Okay.
did it not because of passion, but then I started doing this competition in law school, and then
Yeah.
it showed me that law can actually be very fun.
Okay.
And I started liking it because uh, in law we can help people solve their problems. I really like that part.
Okay. What's a typical day like for you?
So, as a lawyer, some days I feel like a detective, trying to find clues, searching through papers and looking for information.
Yeah.
Other days I'm like a storyteller. I
Yeah.
write down about what happened and why it matters. And some days I'm like a knight. I'm like a knight going into a battle, but not battle of violence, battle of words. Politely, of course. So I argue with other lawyers. So that's pretty much how my day looks like.
Yeah. What kinds of things do you do?
As a lawyer, we read books. We read so many books without becoming sleepy, and
Yeah.
then we write down stories without becoming bored, and then we talk to people and make them feel good
Yeah.
about the story that we're telling.
Do you ever go to court?
Yeah, sometimes I go to court, not all the time, sometimes. And court is like a very serious classroom, and the teacher uh, is sort of like the judge. So it's a classroom, and the judge is the teacher. We have to listen carefully to the teacher in the court, and we take turns speaking. We cannot rah 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 rah, and then we
Yeah.
have to show respect.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you ever helped someone to do something really important? What was it?
Yeah, so one time I helped a company protect their belongings that they value so much. So it was like pretty much like guarding a secret treasure. And that treasure is their project, like what your mama is doing, create buildings. And when it is in the process of being created,
Yeah.
someone is trying to take it. So I protect the treasure. Mm.
Yeah. What is the law? Where do rules for everyone come from?
So the law is like the giant rule book for life. It tells us how to play nicely, how to play fair,
Yeah.
and leaders and smart people called lawmakers, they
Yeah.
write all these rules after discussing, after thinking so hard about what is best for everyone.
What did you have to learn in school to become a lawyer?
I mentioned it previously. So I learned how to read big books without getting sleepy. I learned how to explain tricky ideas but in simple words, and
Yeah.
how to think super duper carefully, like a chess player planning 10 moves ahead. So that's what I learned in law school to become a lawyer.
How long is the study?
It took me a few years, kind of like going from primary one all the way to the end of high school, and
Yeah.
then a few more years in university after that.
Yeah.
So it's quite a while.
Is it very hard?
It's a challenge, Tabi. It's like climbing a very tall mountain. But every time you manage to learn something new, you feel really good about it. So it's difficult, but it can be nice.
Okay. What was your favorite subject in school?
In school, I really like history. Do you have history subject in your school?
No, not yet.
So later I think you will get history. It's like a never-ending collection of epic stories. Kings, queens, warriors, and big adventures.
Okay. What are some important skills you need to be a good lawyer?
So to be a good lawyer, you need to listen like you're hearing a secret. It's very important. You have to listen like you're hearing a secret. That's one.
Yeah.
You have to think like a detective, try
Yeah.
to find clues and solve problems.
Yeah.
And you also have to speak like a storyteller.
Yeah.
One final thing, you also have to care like a good friend because kindness is very important.
Okay. What's the best part of your job?
So the best part of my job is when someone's stuck and doesn't know what to do, and you help find a way out for them, like showing them, hey, there's this hidden door. You can go through here.
Okay. What's the hardest part?
The hardest part, sometimes both sides they think that they are both right.
Yeah.
So it's so hard in that situation to solve the problem. You have to be super patient and super calm. It's pretty much like trying to untangle a giant knot without breaking it. You have to be very calm, you have to be very patient.
Okay. Do you have any advice for kids who wants to be like you?
Some advice is you have to be curious like a cat,
Yeah.
brave like a lion,
Yeah.
and very kind like a superhero.
Okay.
Always ask questions, always be curious. You have to read lots of stories like the books you saw earlier, and never be afraid to help other people.
Okay. How much salary do you earn?
My salary, it changes from time to time, so it depends on the timing of the profession.
How much salary is that usually?
It consists of numbers that really depends on the time. The salary
No.
is enough, is good enough.
Is it $1 million? Mommy said it was $5,000.
It depends. So in Singapore, if I can explain, there are two types of law firms. Law firms is a place where you work as a lawyer. There's the local law firms, and then there's international law firms. International means law firms that come from outside of Singapore. Local law firms means law firms that come from Singapore. If you work in a local law firm,
Yeah.
the starting salary is the number you mentioned earlier, 5,000.
Okay.
Yes, but if you work in an international law firm,
Yeah.
it's generally much more than that. So it's better if you can work in an international law firm if you really prioritize money.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Money really important?
I don't
Question
want.
is,
Why?
It's done already. I was just gonna ask that.
Is money the most important thing?
No. No.
money is important, but what is most important is happiness. And happiness depends on your relationship with other people, like you with your mom, mommy, with daddy, with Toby, with your friends. That's even more important than money. But money is also important, but not as important as happiness.
Okay.
Thank you, Tabi.
Bye.
Hope it helps. Bye-bye. Ini gimana nih hostnya udah nggak di kamera?